Welcome everybody to today's webinar. I'm so excited to present today's presentation, Google Analytics 101. My name is Leah Gage and I'm the Program Officer at VegFund. And I'm going to do a quick introduction to VegFund before we jump into today's presentation. I know that a lot of you come to us and may not know the organization and not know what we do to support vegan activists. So VegFund is an organization that has been around for 10 years. This is our 10th year in existence. We primarily, our goal is to support activism by providing grants to vegan activists all over the world. We provide lots of funds for different kinds of projects. And if you want to take a look at our website, which is listed below, vegfund.org, you can browse there and see all the different types of grants that we provide funding for. Community outreach is kind of our grassroots category that encompasses food samplings. If you want to hand out vegan food samples, host a film screening or a documentary screening, host pay-per-view or video outreach on the street using VR goggles or using a video that people can watch, as well as VegFest, vegan fairs, and all sorts of other vegan events. Our learning tools and events categories covers training materials, panels, webinars like this one, conferences, and then in our innovative outreach category, we support vegan restaurant weeks, challenges, and pledges. We also support online campaigns as well as research projects. So we really encourage you to take a look at our website. And if you think you're ready to apply for a grant, you can go to vegfund.org/apply. In addition to all of the grants we provide, we have a super huge wealth of resources for vegan activists. Today's webinar is being recorded, and so that once it's been edited, that will go up onto our website and this resources for vegan activists. This is part of our activist learning series, and we have a lot of different webinars. We also have blogs, we have summaries of books. This is one of the largest libraries of resources for vegan activists that I've ever encountered. And if you think you're ready to look into vegan activism but not sure where to start, this is a great place for you to look. But today I want to talk about our presenter, Megan Iudice. Megan has 20 years of experience in internet marketing, so she's seen a lot of changes. And she's an expert in utilizing data to determine marketing methods. And VegFund actually hired Megan to help us with our Google Analytics. And once she did such an amazing job, we realized we had to have her share her expertise with all of you. As many of you know, VegFund's very data-driven. We're always asking you to provide us data about the events that you're hosting and to show your impact and really evaluate the success of your projects. And Google Analytics is a really powerful tool to do that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Megan and stop sharing my screen. And you should have that ability now, Megan.
All right, let me share my screen. And let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, that looks great. Thank you so much.
Well, hello everyone out there and listening to this, and thank you very much for attending today. I'm really excited to be here and to be part of the VegFund Learning Series. My name is Megan Iudice. I co-founded Solstice Web in 1998, and our company motto is Be Enlightened. I have worked over 20 years in information technology and internet marketing, holding a variety of professional web-based roles across multiple industries, from the private to the public sector. I am certified in Google Analytics, Google Mobile Sites, Google AdWords Search, Web Accessibility, and as a front-end web developer. I'm really excited to speak with you all today because I'm very passionate about creating synergies between vegan advocacy and technology. The internet is such a powerful tool to reach large audiences, and that makes it an excellent opportunity to spread the vegan message. I specialize in creating meaningful impact through web technology, from organic search engine optimization to paid search and digital analytics. I really enjoy leveraging my skills to support nonprofit organization missions. Here's our roadmap for today. To begin, we're going to define analytics to better understand how it works and why we need it. Then I will give you an overview of the installation. That part can be a bit technical, so if you hang in there, I promise it will get more interesting after that. After the installation, I will present the 4 main sections of who, what, how, and why of analytics, along with a bit of customization. With each section, I will provide key insights you can begin applying today to your own data. So what is analytics? According to Wikipedia, analytics is the discovery, interpretation, and communication of meaningful patterns in data. It is also the process of applying those patterns towards effective decision-making. So in other words, analytics can be understood as the connective tissue between data and effective decision-making within an organization. By discovering the data that is available, then interpreting what we find, we can identify patterns of data, which we can then use to make decisions about what is working and what is not. This helps us figure out the most effective way to communicate a message and motivate an action in our users. Now, what is Google Analytics? Well, Google Analytics is a free tool created by Google, which gathers website data automatically. When this tool is installed on your website, it collects and compiles all the data you need about your website. About 15 years ago, Google acquired a company called Urchin. In the early 2000s, I actually used to use Urchin software to get statistics on websites. But it was nowhere near as robust as the platform available today. Today's Google Analytics is a very powerful tool which organizes all of the data it collects into specific categories to make it easy to interpret and analyze the data. It comes in a free version and more recently a paid version called Google Analytics 360. If you've had your site for a long time, you may be using an older version of Google Analytics. The first code released in 2005 is now referred to as Classic Analytics, which used a JavaScript file called ga.js. In 2012, Google replaced Classic with what was called Universal Analytics, which used a JavaScript file called analytics.js. Then in 2017, Google released the global site tag, whose code is called gtag.js. This is now the officially supported and recommended tracking method, as it has many more robust features not previously available. Google has support documentation available for the differences between these releases, how to migrate from one to another, as well as how to determine which type you have. These links will be available in the resources at the end of the presentation. For the purposes of today's webinar, we will just be focusing on the most recent global site tag method. To begin, we will cover how to install Google Analytics on your site. Then we will dive into the types of data it collects and how we can use this data to inform decision-making. First, to install Analytics, you will need an email to use for your account. You may already have one, or you can create one just for this purpose. Go to analytics.google.com. Log in with your email account, then click Sign Up. Next, you will be asked to fill in the information about your website. Choose Website, then enter the following information: account name, website URL, industry category, and the time zone you'd like to use. Choose your data sharing settings. Note that some settings are required to access benchmarking and demographics information. Click the Get Tracking ID button and agree to the terms of service. You will then be taken to a page that contains the tracking ID and tracking code. Each property has a unique tracking ID. Simply paste the code into the code of your website in the head section. Each content management system will be slightly different, so if needed, reference documentation by Google available at support.google.com/analytics. If you don't feel comfortable with HTML code or you don't have access to the back end of your website, ask your webmaster to install it for you. Then use real-time reports to verify installation. And I'll show you in just a minute how you can do that. Here we see an example of what the code will look like installed on your site. If you have Google Tag Manager, the code will look slightly different since that platform uses what is called a container to hold both analytics and other code all in one. Analytics is organized by account, then property, then view. Properties are where you send data and set up reporting views. Analytics automatically creates one unfiltered view for every property in your account, but you can set up multiple views on a single property. You can also associate one property with more than one site to consolidate data. Each property can have up to 25 views. It's best practice to keep the raw data or original view, then create additional views as needed. Your master view can be the one you use most often and apply filters, such as the option to activate bot filtering. You can also use filters to customize views and see only a subset of data in your reports. You might, for example, have one view to filter out all internal traffic and another to include only traffic from a specific website directory or subdomain. View not active, so when you create a new one, there is no previous data in it. Filters do just what it sounds like. They filter out certain data. This can be useful if you want to include or exclude certain traffic. For example, you may want to exclude internal traffic or traffic from bots, or alternatively, you may want to create a view that is just for certain types of users, such as users in a certain geographic area. It can also be helpful to clean up your data. Sometimes with dynamic websites, the resulting URL can be very long. In this case, you can use filters to clean up those complicated URLs, otherwise known as query strings. Some things to keep in mind regarding filters: you can have up to 25 per property. Like views, they're applied to all future data, so they're not retroactive. Now I'd like to take you over the platform and show you some of the things we've just discussed. For today's webinar, I will be using what is called the Google Demo account. You can add this account to your analytics account and remove it at any time. The data in the demo account is from the Google Merchandise Store, an e-commerce site that sells Google branded merchandise. But it will work just fine for our demo purposes today. So here we see the Google Merchandise Store test account. And first we're going to go to the admin section. So we're going to navigate to the lower left and look for the cogwheel icon and the words admin. When I click on that, once inside, you'll see 3 columns, one for account, property, and view. I'm going to click on the Tracking Info under Property, and then Tracking Code. Here you will find the code that you need to install on your site. Copy and paste the code from this section into your site. Next, click on See Details in Real-Time Traffic Reports to check to see if it's working. You can also access real-time data by clicking on this clock in the left-hand menu at any time. Data is processed within a few seconds into the real-time reports, and you can view data for the previous 30 minutes. Now I'm going to go back to admin again. In column 3, this is where we see our view settings. This is also where you can create new views by clicking on Create View, and this is also where you can apply filters. Okay, now for the good stuff. We're going to jump into the 4 main areas of Google Analytics data. The data inside Google Analytics is organized into 4 main areas: audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. Audience is the who. In this section, we can find out more about your website visitors. Acquisition is the how. How do users end up on your website? Did they find it by clicking on an ad, or maybe through social media? Or did they just type a phrase into the search engine? The third area, behavior, is the what. It lets us take a closer look at what users do once they're on your site. This area tells us more about what content is working the best. We can analyze specific pages and user actions to learn more about how users use your site and make sure it's as user-friendly as possible. Fourth area is conversions, and this is the why. Conversions are the ultimate goal you want to achieve with your website. All websites have a purpose, whether it is donations, email sign-ups, or user applications. That purpose is considered a goal. Goals are also called conversions, mostly because in the case of an e-commerce site, for example, you are converting a visitor into a customer. Hopefully, if you all achieve your goals, you will be converting users to veganism. But what it really just means in this case is whatever you define as the goals of your site. By analyzing this section, we can learn how to measure the success of your website. Ultimately, these 4 areas work together in this way. Engaged users lead to site conversions. We learn about your visitors, how they find you, what they did on your site, and if they were able to accurately interpret and perform whatever goal you established as the objective of your site. Now, data in analytics is presented in 2 ways, which are called dimensions and metrics. Dimensions are attributes, while metrics are numbers and quantitative in nature. You'll find the dimension presented in the first column inside standard analytics reports. Metrics are typically presented as columns of data to the right. An example of a dimension is a city or a page. And an example of a metric would be the number of sessions or the bounce rate percentage. One of the fundamental marketing tips we hear all the time is know your audience. So this is where we come to find out about the users that are coming to our site, to the audience overview. The audience section contains a wealth of information about how specific users are interacting with your site. We are not going to cover everything in any one part of the 4 main areas, but I will be highlighting some of the key areas you should be aware of. The first is users and sessions. Now, before 2014, in Google Analytics, they used the category names visits and unique visitors to describe the website traffic. Then Google decided to change that terminology to sessions and users. Users are the number of visitors that have at least one session on your website. This number is more accurate in telling you how many individual people visited your site. Sessions, on the other hand, are the number of times visitors are actively engaged on your website. Generally speaking, every visitor has at least one session, but they could have multiple, depending on the circumstances. By default, if a user is inactive for 30 minutes or more, any future activity is attributed to a new session. Users that leave your site and return within 30 minutes are counted as part of the original session. Then we have page views. Page views are the total number of pages people viewed on your website. Assuming you have multiple pages on your website, you want this number to be higher than the number of sessions. Other metrics you'll find under audience are pages per session, which is the average number of pages viewed within a session on your site. More pages per session mean that users are more engaged in exploring more of your site. Average session duration, which is the average length of a visitor's session. Again, longer sessions indicate that users are more engaged. Bounce rate, which is the percent of visits that are single page only. So people who go to one page and then they leave your site. Now, usually a high bounce rate is a sign that people are leaving because they aren't finding what they're looking for. Although this isn't a hard and fast rule. Sometimes if your call to action is to have someone pick up the phone and call you, or click a button that leads them off the site, then a high bounce rate might not be a bad thing in that case. The percent of new sessions is the average percentage of first-time visitors on your website. Ideally, a good website will have a solid mix of new and returning visitors. Understanding your audience helps you create more relevant content for them. The optional section called Demographics, when activated, will gather demographic information on your users, such as age and gender, but it can also inform you on interests of your users as well. This information can then be used to create user personas for your larger marketing plan. You can also then take it a step further and look at which advertising medium works best for the demographic group and expand your promotional focus to meet that interest. The geo section will tell you the language and location of your users. The technology and mobile sections tell you what types of devices users access your site with. You can learn what browsers and operating systems are used the most, as well as which mobile phones. Devices that have an extremely high bounce rate may indicate compatibility issues with your site. You can figure out which platform converts the best. In this case, it's desktop. Or which platform has the highest bounce rate. When activated, the benchmarking section can provide useful comparison information on other websites in your industry vertical. It aggregates data from which you can gain valuable insights to find out how you compare to your competition. To see benchmarking data, you must share your data anonymously with Google and others. Once you do this, your data is also included in benchmarks. The data you share, including information about the account from which it is shared, is anonymous. The benchmarking reports are updated every 24 to 48 hours. Lastly, in this section is the user flow. This section is where you can follow the path your users took on your site. You can examine patterns and identify trouble spots by looking at where users dropped off and how many interactions they completed. So what have we covered in this first audience section? Learn more about your users to better address their interests. Use session and session duration metrics to quantify engaged users. Monitor the bounce rate to increase relevancy. Use the technology report to audit browser or platform issues. Use the benchmarking report to see how you measure up against the competition. And perfect your user's path by examining their user flow. So now I'm going to take you over to analytics, and we're going to go look at the audience section. So we're going to click on the little person icon in the left menu bar. Then we're going to click Overview. Here's where you can see a lot of the information that we just discussed. And what I'm going to show you first is how to change the date range, because this is important for any report you might be using in analytics. So if you look for the date in the upper right-hand corner, you see it's a kind of underline. You click on that date. You can select any date range that you want, or you can select from a pre-selected range, such as last week, last month, or the last 7 days. Then just hit Apply. It'll populate the data for that period. You also have the option to compare that data to other data. So you can say the default compare to previous period, or you could choose previous year and get a year-over-year data view. To turn off the date comparison, you just uncheck that box. Now I'm going to click on demographics over here and the demographics overview. So we talked about identifying who's visiting your site and who converts so that you can target your ads to those specific audiences. In this example, you can see that males aged 25 to 34 are the largest demographic visitor group. Next, if we click on interest under in-market segments, I'll show you an example of dimensions and metrics. So you'll find the dimension presented in the first column, and metrics are typically presented as columns of data to the right. So in this example, the in-market segment is the dimension, and the number of users that fit into that market segment is the metric. In the technology and then browser OS section, you can look at the number of conversions per browser. It's possible that browsers that don't perform as well could have compatibility issues. Next, I'm going to click on the benchmarking section. Now keep in mind that you have to activate this section for it to show you data. To do that, you go to Admin, and then under Account Settings, and there you'll see the benchmarking checkbox. I'm going to go back to Audience, show you one more thing, and that's the user's flow. This chart defaults to country versus behavior flow, which we will discuss next, which defaults to landing page. The red areas indicate a drop-off or user exiting the site. You can modify the level of detail of interactions that you see by going to the upper left level of detail and dragging the bar to show more or less connections. Now we're going to talk about part 2, which is the acquisition. The acquisition section contains all the information on the how. How did users find your site in the first place? There are a variety of ways users can find your site, from an organic search where they typed in the phrase, to clicking on an ad, or arriving via a link from social media or another site. All of these sources are organized into this section. Google helps us organize the most basic ways users find your site into what are called channels. The default channel groups are organic, direct, referral, paid search, social, other advertising, affiliates, and display. Google uses the source to identify the channel. For example, if someone came from Facebook.com, it would identify it as part of the social channel. If they clicked on a link that was already bookmarked or typed in the URL directly into the search bar, that is considered direct. If you use UTM tags for your campaigns, it will use that information that you've included for the medium and the source to identify the traffic. These can be defined on your end and lets Google know, for example, classify this as my May social traffic. Now, source medium is a dimension that combines two dimensions, source and medium. Source is the origin of your traffic, such as a search engine, for example, Google or Bing or YouTube. Medium is the general category of source, for example, organic search, cost per click, paid search, or web referral from banner or display. In addition to the default channels, you can also create custom channel groupings to further organize your traffic. If you have a Google Ads account, formerly known as AdWords, this account can be synced to Google Analytics so that the data flows directly into your analytics account. All the statistics on your campaigns, ad groups, and keywords can then be accessed in analytics for your reporting. You can also see statistics on new features such as site links, as well as check on what keywords users entered into the search engine to be shown your ad. In addition to Google Ads, Analytics has the ability to sync up with Google Search Console, formerly known as Google Webmaster Tools. This free platform from Google helps you monitor your site's health. You can conduct audits on key factors that influence your site's performance, identify issues, and help Google best index your site. The social media section groups all the information on traffic coming from social media channels into one place. You can see which social media platforms bring you the most traffic, which social networks gain you the most conversions, and what path your users take when they arrive from a social network. In analytics, the ad campaigns, search engines, social networks, and other sources that send users to your property are collectively known as campaigns and traffic sources. Any traffic that is tagged as a campaign will show under this section. This section is most often used to display traffic from email or other PPC pay-per-click campaigns such as Bing or Facebook ads. Google also offers a free URL builder that will generate tracking code for you, so so your traffic can appear in this section. So what have we covered in the acquisition section? Use the channel report to find out which traffic sources are most effective. Check the referral report to see which other sites brought you traffic. Track your Google Ads campaign and keyword performance. Audit your site rank for search terms in the Google Search Console report. Use the social report to identify which social networks send you the most engaged users. And monitor the performance of all your campaigns and keywords in the campaign report. So now we're going to go back over to the platform, and I'm going to show you the acquisition section. First, we'll look at the acquisition overview. This page shows your top channels, users, and conversions, and then a list of key metrics per channel. If we click on the All Traffic, then Channels, we can find even more information on the conversions brought by each channel. The report also allows us to see which channels perform the best. The information can then be viewed by source medium by clicking on the source medium option on the left. The referral report tells you which sites are generating the most traffic, as well as which sites are bringing you the most conversions. By clicking on Google Ads, we can see all of the information available in Google Ads campaigns. This includes information on campaigns, keywords, site links, search queries, and more. The social section provides you with all the tools to measure the impact of traffic from social sources. You can identify which communities bring you the most engaged users, and therefore the most conversions. On this overview page, we can see how many sessions came from each channel. And under conversions, how many conversions each one brought as well. Lastly, under campaigns, we can see all our organic and paid campaigns all in one place. By toggling this primary dimension, you can choose to see data classified by campaign, source, medium, or source and medium together. By clicking on paid or organic keywords on the left, you can see which keywords performed the best. Now we're going to cover section 3, which is the behavior section. This is where you find out about what users do once they're on your site. It helps you identify what content works the best and more closely examine actions users take. Behavior flow, similar to user flow, although it starts on a landing page. It allows you to observe the path that users take once they land on any given page. The site content section is likely one of the most used sections in analytics. Here you can find out what pages users are visiting the most, what pages they're spending the most time on, and what pages they are leaving the site from. Landing pages and exit pages help you examine bounce rate to make sure your pages are effective. Landing pages with high bounce rates indicate the user did not find what they were looking for and left. Possibly they were lost. Maybe the navigation was not clear, or the content was not engaging enough with a clear call to action. This data can help you optimize your site engagement, which will in turn, of course, increase your conversions once you improve it. Site speed is one of the top ranking factors Google uses to determine rank. Now more than ever, it is crucial that site speed be up to par. Recent reports from Google indicate that 53% of mobile visits leave a page that takes longer than 3 seconds to load. You can get speed suggestions from Google by using their free site speed test through Page Speed Insights. Look for correlations between load time and bounce rate, and focus on improving the load time of those pages that have the highest bounce rate. If your site contains a search box, you can use Google Analytics to find out what users are searching on. This report also lets you see what page they initiated the search on, and whether they were successful or not in locating what they were searching on. This can help you gain insight into your users' intent and also how useful your site search is to your users. Events are user interactions with content that can be measured independently from a web page or a screen load. These include actions such as watching a video, downloading a file, submitting a form, making a phone call, sending an email. And events can also be designated as goals. So before I go over that summary, I'm going to take you over to the behavior section. The behavior overview gives you a quick glance of the overall page view. So I'm going to explain the difference between page views and unique page views. A page view is defined as a view of a page on your site that is being tracked by the code. If the user clicks reload after reaching the page, this is counted as an additional page view. If they navigate to a different page and then return to the original page, a second page view is recorded as well. Now, a unique page view, on the other hand, aggregates page views that are generated by the same user during the same session. So a unique page view represents the number of sessions during which that page was viewed one or more times. So the unique page view number is always going to be less than the total page view number. In behavior flow, we see that you can see the starting point is the top landing pages. This report helps you find the most popular paths, as well as to examine paths to make sure users are following the path you intended for them to take. The site content report contains information on all pages, as well as landing pages and exit pages. By examining these reports and evaluating your landing page's bounce rate and exit rate, you can find opportunities to optimize your landing page content and therefore improve user retention. In the site speed section, we can see the average page load time in seconds for each browser, country, and page. Under the page timings section, we can view the page load time of each page as compared to the average page load time. This section also provides speed suggestions to improve page load time and a page speed score. The page speed score indicates the extent to which you can improve the load time of a page. A high score indicates less room for improvement. A low score indicates more room for improvement. In the site search report, although this report is simple, it's great because it lets you know if you are missing something on your site. Under site search, first we have usage. This shows you how many sessions did or did not use the search. Search terms tells us for those that did use the search, what term they entered. Search pages tells us what page they were on when they initiated the search. Also in this section, the metric called % search visits tells you the percentage of searches in which the user left your site after searching instead of clicking any of the results that you offered. The higher the percentage, the less satisfied your user was, and the more important it is for you to make modifications to that page to make sure you are providing relevant results. Under Events Overview, you can see event category, action, and label. Under Top Events, you can see actions such as file downloads, link clicks, form submissions, and anything you have event tracking set up for. So what have we covered in the behavior section so far? Analyze your user's behavior using the behavior flow report. Identify the best and least performing content using the site content report. Monitor and improve page load time using the site speed report. Optimize your user's internal searching with the site search report. And track your user's interaction with the site using the event report. All right, so we've made it to the fourth part, which is conversions. And remember, conversions is the why. So we're going to talk about key performance indicators. What is a KPI and how do we use it? KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. It's something an organization uses to understand how well they're performing in relation to their strategic goals and objectives. They help keep you on track towards your success. A good way to understand KPI is to consider your health as an example. To assess your health, you would consider several factors such as your weight, body mass index, cholesterol, and blood pressure. Those metrics combined give you a picture of your overall health. Each one has a benchmark or ideal range that you would strive to maintain for optimal health. Your website is the same way. It also has a set of considerations by which you can measure its success. When establishing your KPIs, you may want to start by focusing on 5 to 10 objectives. Typically, for nonprofits, KPIs can be categorized into 3 main areas. The first is financial. Many times, one of your key performance indicators would be to get donations for fundraising, or perhaps you have promotional merchandise you want your users to purchase. The second type would be sign-ups. You want your users to sign up for a membership, to sign up to volunteer, or to sign up for your newsletter. Or maybe, such as in the case of VegFund, you want them to apply for a grant, create an account, or sign a petition. The third kind is lead, and these correlate a lot with the events that we just covered. Downloading files, submitting forms, making a call, sending an email, watching a video, or performing a search can all be key performance indicators. If you're using conversion tracking, you can create your own goals based on the KPIs you identify. There are 5 types of goals. Destination, which is landing on a page. Duration, which is the time spent on a page. Pages or screens per session, which is exactly as it sounds, how many pages did they view during their session. Events, or SMART goals, which are used for Google Ads. So to summarize this section, we talked about establishing key performance indicators to track your success. Set up your goals to match your KPIs. Use event tracking to count how many times your KPIs occur. And then use the goals overview to monitor your conversions. So now we'll head back over and look at the conversion section. It's going to be the flag over here in the left-hand column. And actually, I want to show you something first in the admin section. I'm going to show you in this third column goals. We can see here that there are 5 goals set up. You can have up to 20 goals active at one time. In the left-hand corner, it will tell you how many you have left available. In the first column, we see the goal name. Then the ID assigned to that goal. Next is the goal type column. There are 3 destination goals here. You can see there's 1 SMART goal and 1 pages, screens per session goal. After that, we see how many conversions have occurred in the last 7 days. Lastly is the toggle button for recording. This lets us know if the goal is active or not. If we click on one of the goals, such as registration, we see there are 3 areas inside: goal setup, goal description, and goal details. If we click on goal description, you can see the various types of goals discussed earlier that we have to choose from. This is a destination goal, meaning when a user visits this page, it will register as a goal completion or conversion. In the details section, we can see the URL of the page. This should be filled in as a relative URL rather than a full one, and they give you examples here to make sure you do it that way. Below that, we see 2 other options, value and funnel. Value lets you assign a monetary value to a conversion, and funnel lets you specify a path or steps you want traffic to take in order to arrive at that destination. Both of these are optional and do not need to be filled in for the goal tracking to work. Now we'll head back over to the presentation to discuss our last section on customization, where I'll show you how to bring it all together into an easy-to-view report. So everything we have looked at today in analytics is essentially a report. Anytime you are looking at a report, you can save it for a later time. You can save a local copy, share it by email, export it as a PDF, or schedule a delivery. Dashboards are mini reports that allow you to quickly access the important data you need most often. You can monitor metrics periodically and have up to 20 private and 50 shared dashboards per user. You can have up to 12 widgets per dashboard. That's each one of these boxes is a widget. You can present standard and real-time data, compare date ranges, link directly to interior reports, and dashboards can be shared, exported as PDFs, scheduled as emails, and Google also offers a solutions gallery with ready-made reports that you can plug right in. Have you ever tried to remember when you launched a certain section of your site, but you couldn't remember the exact date? Or maybe you changed something significant, such as underwent a redesign. If you are like me, you have 1,000 little yellow sticky notes with things you want to remember all over your desk. Annotations make it easy to recall significant events that may have had an effect on your data. These are basically sticky notes you add to your analytics account. Analytics can be shared or private. In the screenshot, you see that on April 15th, there's a comment icon. This lets everyone viewing this know that something significant happened on that day. When you click on the icon, below it, the annotation appears, explaining the note. Alerts are a great way to monitor specific activity on your website. You pick what you want to know about and when, and Google will send you an email or a mobile text message when it happens. For example, you set up an alert to send you an email when your site sessions are greater than a certain number, or certain traffic performs a set number of tasks, such as downloading a file or submitting a form. A few years ago, Google rolled out a new tool to help us better interpret all of our data. It is called Analytics Intelligence, and it is a set of features that uses machine learning to help you better understand and act on your data. This tool uses artificial intelligence to go through all your data and pull out relevant insights and recommendations automatically. You can also ask Analytics Intelligence questions to better understand your data. So what have we covered in the customization section? We've learned that you can save, share, and schedule frequently used reports with custom reports. You can compile, export, and share mini reports with dashboards. Keep track of important events with annotations. Stay on top of notable changes in your data with alerts. Take advantage of Google's artificial intelligence with insights and ask a question. Now I'll show you where alerts and annotations can be set up, and we'll close out with a look at custom reports and dashboards. Heading back over to the admin area, in the third column, if we click on annotations, then new annotation, we pick the date, enter the text, and designate the visibility of our note. Then we click create annotation. Now I've already created one that you saw earlier, and it's here. It's launch new campaign, April 15th. So if I go over to the audience overview and pull up the month of April, I can see on the 15th, there is a little icon right there. If I click on that icon, it's going to open up my note to remind me that's the day I launched my new campaign. To check out alerts, we go back to the same area. So we go to admin, but then we click on custom alerts. Then new alert. We can call this, for example, site users hits 2,000. I will select what view I want to use for this, what period I want it to happen in, over a day, a week, or a month, and how I want to be notified. Next, I'll specify what conditions will trigger that alert. So in this case, I'll say users is greater than 2,000. Then I would hit Save Alert. Last but not least are your reports. Now that you know all the useful information you can find in analytics, you're going to want to share it with others in your organization. Go back to the home page and click on the customization icon below the Home button. Here you'll see Dashboards, Custom Reports, Save Reports, and another way to access your custom alerts. If I click on Dashboards, there's several in here. Say I go to the Site Performance Dashboard. And here you're going to see a collection of 12 widgets that exemplify your site performance. You can share it from here, email it, or export it. Lastly, I'm going to show you the Insights area. So going back to the home page, and on the right, we see that icon that says Insights. Here you'll find a ton of useful information. This area can help you find anomalies in your site, notice important shifts in traffic, and the Insights on Demand section also offers additional insights categorized by area. There's also the option to save these insights for later And that will pin it to the query in the Insights bar for easy access. And the one last thing I'm going to show you today is the search box at the top of all of your analytics pages. But this box is not just for searching. You can type in any question you have about your data, and Google will attempt to answer it. Now, this Ask a Question feature currently supports what and how many types of questions about your analytics data. For example, you can ask it, which channel had the highest goal conversion rate? Hit return, and on the Insights column, it will provide you with the answer. Lastly, I have a resources slide for you all, and on this slide, you will find a list of helpful resources to find out more about Google Analytics. Google offers free lessons through their Analytics Academy, individual certification, and a free help center with guided tours. So thank you all for hanging in there and attending the learning seminar today. And thank you to VegFund for inviting me. I am very thrilled to have been here today, and I hope it was helpful for you all. I'm going to send you back over to Leah, and she can close us out.
Thank you so much, Megan. That was a super helpful presentation, and I think we're going to all really find that useful. And I hope that we can have you back so that you can delve a little bit deeper into each of these areas that you covered. I think we could go in, we could do a whole webinar on each section.
Absolutely.
So I hope that this was helpful to all of you who have watched. We will absolutely take the resources that Megan provided on that last slide and paste them in. Once we have the video edited, we'll upload it to our resources site, and we'll include all of those resources. And we'll be sure to send an email out to everybody who registered for today's webinar so that you can find out when the webinar is posted and share it with your colleagues. So thank you again so much, Megan. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day.